So this is one fact about every country in the world. Afghanistan has had 26 different flags, with the most recent flag change taking place in 2021. Albania is home to over 170,000 small bunkers built from the 1960s to the 1980s. Its former communist leader, Enver Hoxha, feared a potential invasion from the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, or NATO. Algeria is a mostly empty country with 80 to 90% of its land being dry desert. Andorra is a small European nation situated between France and Spain. It has the highest tourism per capita in the world. Angola's flag is pretty communist looking, even though it is not a communist country. Antigua and Barbuda should really be named Antigua, Barbuda, and Redonda because it actually has 3 islands. Argentina is home to both the highest and lowest points in South America. Armenia was the first country to adopt Christianity as a state religion all the way back in the year 300. Australia is home to about 36.5 million kangaroos, meaning that there are more kangaroos in Australia than there are humans. Roughly 62% of Austria's land is covered by the Alps. Azerbaijan's capital city Baku is home to the world's largest KFC. The Bahamas is an archipelago of about 700 islands, only about 30 of which are inhabited. Bahrain was home to the first Grand Prix in the Middle East. Bangladesh is about 115 times smaller than Russia, yet it is home to several million more people. Barbados has one of the coolest looking flags, and that's a fact. Belgium has 3 official languages. And if I highlight this and click explain briefly, my browser Opera tells me that Dutch, French, and German are Belgium's official languages, and that about 60% of Belgians speak Dutch. I really love Opera, which happens to be today's sponsor because it makes my research for my videos exponentially easier. Opera has so many nice features. For example, I went to read this article, and as you can see, these distracting pop-up ads are everywhere. Now, with Opera, that same article has no ads because of its built-in ad blocker. A lot of the time, I get comments in foreign languages that my small monolingual American brain can't understand. Lucky for me, I can simply highlight it, click translate, and Opera's built-in Aria AI puts it into American for me. Say I want to know a fact about Belarus, I can just ask Aria and it tells me that about 40% of Belarus is covered in forest. Now say I want to check Instagram without closing out what I have open. No problem, because Opera's nice sidebar allows me to do just that. The same is true with music. I can click the convenient icon and I have access to it. I even love the little things like Opera being able to tell me how much battery life I have left and the tab islands that help me organize information. You can click the first link in the description and download Opera for free. It literally takes less than a minute and it helps me out without you having to pay a dime, so I strongly advise you to try it out. Thank you to Opera for helping to make this video possible, and let's get right back to it. Belize has one of the world's least cool flags, and that's a fact. Also, Belize is home to the Great Blue Hole, which is visited by more than 200,000 people every year. Benin was actually a communist country from 1975 to 1990. Bhutan is the most mountainous country in the world, with 98.8% of its land being covered in them. Bolivia is home to the world's largest salt flat and has a navy despite not even touching the ocean for some reason. Bosnia and Herzegovina has just a 20-kilometer or 12.4-mile long coastline, because Croatia keeps hogging all of it. Botswana has the world's highest elephant population at around 130,000. Brazil technically borders France, as French Guiana, as you can probably tell by the name, is owned by the French. Brunei's Sultan lives in the world's largest house with over 2 million square feet. Bulgaria is the world's fastest shrinking country, being home to around 6.5 million people in comparison to its peak population of almost 9 million. Burkina Faso's median age is just 16.9 years, and 43.7% of its population is aged 0 to 14. Burundi has 2 capital cities, Gitega and Bujumbura. Cambodia's Angkor Wat is the largest religious structure in the world and can be found on its flag. Cameroon is commonly called Africa in miniature because of how culturally and geographically diverse it is. More Cape Verdeans live outside of Cape Verde than do in it, with around 300,000 Cape Verdeans and their descendants living in the United States alone. Canada has the most lakes in the world, with about 62% of all lakes being located in Canada. The Central African Republic is rich in diamonds, gold, oil, and other resources, yet is still one of the poorest countries in the world. Chad has the worst air pollution in the entire world. Chile, unsurprisingly, is the world's most narrow country. China is the 4th largest country in the world, and yet it still has just a single time zone, China Standard Time. Colombia is the world's largest exporter of emeralds. Comoros' closest neighbor is surprisingly France due to its overseas department of Mayotte. The Republic of the Congo has a GDP per capita 4.2 times larger than that of its neighbor, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and a population that is 15.6 times smaller. Costa Rica is the largest country in the world without a military. Croatia's primary national symbol is a red and white checkerboard, which can be seen on its coat of arms and flag. Cuba banned Christmas from 1969 to 1998, pretty much because it wasn't communist enough. Cyprus, if you look closely, kind of looks like the United States with its own mini Florida and Northeast. No? okay. The Czech Republic is home to what is commonly called the world's second ugliest building, the I don't know how to pronounce this TV tower in Prague. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is home to the world's second largest rainforest, the Congo Basin, at about 3.7 million square kilometers. In 2014, Denmark built a 1-to-1 scale replica of itself in Minecraft, which was promptly blown up and invaded by Americans. Djibouti has a silly name and military bases belonging to Germany, Spain, Italy, France, the United States, the United Kingdom, China, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. This is mainly due to its strategic geographic position in the Horn of Africa. Dominica's flag has the most purple of any country. The Dominican Republic is the most visited country in the Caribbean, receiving roughly 6.5 million tourists in 2019. East Timor literally means east, as Timor is the Malay word for east. Ecuador's Mount Chimborazo is Earth's closest point to outer space. Egypt is the most square country in the world. El Salvador is the only country in Central America that doesn't have a coastline on the Caribbean Sea. Equatorial Guinea has its capital off on the island of Bioko rather than on its mainland. Eritrea's capital city, Asmara, has the nickname Little Rome for its preserved Italian-like architecture. Estonia is a very digital society and in 2005 was the first country to allow online voting. Eswatini changed its name from Swaziland in 2018 and its king has 15 wives. Ethiopia is the place of origin of coffee beans. Fiji is one of 4 countries that still have the Union Jack in the corner of their flag. Finland has an estimated 3 million saunas for a population of just over 5.5 million people. This map shows all of the public saunas in Finland. France is often called L'Hexagone for its relatively hexagonal shape. Close to 90% of Gabon is covered in rainforest. The Gambia is pretty much just a river as a country being eaten by Senegal. Georgia is thought to be the birthplace of wine all the way back in 6000 BC. Germany is home to the most castles of any country, with most estimates putting the number at around 25,000 castles. Ghana and the former Ghana Empire do not share a single square inch of land. In 2009, Greece banned high heels at its archaeological sites to prevent damage and erosion. Grenada is known as the Isle of Spice due to its production of nutmeg and other maize crops. Guatemala's original name was Guatemalan, which means place of many trees in Nahuatl, a language spoken by the Aztecs. Guinea produces about a quarter of the world's bauxite, which is the main source of aluminum. Cashews alone account for about 90% of Guinea-Bissau's exports. Guyana is the only English-speaking country in all of South America. Haiti shares the island of Hispaniola with the Dominican Republic. Haiti's half of the island speaks French, while the Dominican side speaks Spanish. In 2022, Honduras went through a major flag redesign, going from this to this. Hungary's parliament building is probably my favorite building in the world. Iceland has a naming committee that reviews children's names. If the name has never been used in Iceland before, they might reject it. India is home to about 308 million cows, the most in the world. Indonesia is an island nation, but we literally have no idea how many islands it has. Most estimates put the number somewhere over 17,000 islands. Iran is still living in the 1400s because it has its own calendar system. Mesopotamia, or what is now Iraq, was the birthplace of writing sometime around 3400 BC. In 1841, Ireland's population peaked at nearly 8.2 million people, but began to fall after that due to the Great Famine. Today, Ireland is home to about 5.3 million people. Israel is about the same size as the US state of New Jersey in both area and in population. Italy is home to 59 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the most of any country in the world. The Ivory Coast produces nearly half of all of the world's cocoa. Jamaica has the only national flag with no red in it, no white in it, and no blue in it. In Japan, it has become a Christmas Eve tradition to eat KFC. Jordan is home to the lowest point on Earth in the Dead Sea. Kazakhstan banned the movie Borat in 2006 for its depiction of the country, but now uses "very nice" as its tourism slogan, which is from the movie if you didn't know. Kenya's Kalenjin tribe famously has some of the best runners in the world. In 2013, male runners from this tribe placed 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in a Berlin Marathon. Kiribati is home to spectacular cities like Paris, London, Poland, and Banana. Kosovo's status as a country is heavily controversial, and currently about 100 countries recognize it. Kuwait's currency, the Kuwaiti dinar, is the most valuable currency in the world. Kyrgyzstan's flag looks suspiciously similar to the Xbox logo. Laos is the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia. How sad. Latvia is home to the Venta Rapid, which at 249 meters is the widest waterfall in Europe. At 30.7%, Lebanon has the highest proportion of Christians in the Middle East. Lesotho is one of only 3 countries surrounded entirely by one other country, which in its case is South Africa. Liberia's flag is similar to the American flag because it was actually founded by freed American slaves in 1822, later gaining its independence in 1847. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of this video and join our first 400,000 legends. Thank you again to Opera for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check them out with the link in the description. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.